Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday and happy So What Day. I have some school spirit to share with you today. We're kind of in the throes of college football and, NFL football and all kinds of sports happening right now. We're in the middle of the World Series. So, it's a fun time to get in the school spirit or, the sports spirit of things. And I'm going to share with you some projects that I have seen out in the universe that are kind of going viral. And we're going to take our twist on them, make them for a fraction of the cost, and have fun while we're doing it. So that is what is on deck today. I also wanted to share with you my ultimate phone case. I don't know how many of you are in or are taking our ultimate phone case session over at sewingonline.sulky.com. But I wanted to share with you a mistake that I made while I was making my phone case so that you all don't make the same mistake as well. But lots of people are taking this session. It is on demand. Start anytime. We still have kits available and they are only on sale until Thursday. So if you've been kind of on the fence about grabbing up one of these kits, we have them in this teal colorway and we also have them in this red colorway. The sale price is over and done with on Thursday. So you will want to take advantage and get yourself one of these kits. You can choose from 2 fabrics in each kit to showcase on the exterior of your phone case. And it is a little bit misleading because you don't have to use this as a phone case. It can be a crossbody bag and you can really put whatever you want to in it. It just happens that if you choose the size that's comparable to your phone fits snugly inside and you can wear it across your body. And then you also have a zipper on the other side that you can put your ID, some cash, your house key, things like that. Super, super convenient. Or, of course, you can throw your phone in your pocket and place whatever you want to inside of this pouch. So it's a really versatile project, and I love that it comes with a lot of different strap options. So you can choose this crossbody strap. You can choose to make a wristlet strap, or you can choose to add no strap at all if you just want to create a little pouch that has the zipper and the flap closure with the little snap on it. Then you can create tons of these. They make great pencil pouches, makeup brush pouches, all kinds of things you can put in your little project. So think outside of the phone case box as well, but you could choose either this fabric or this fabric to showcase on the outside of your bag. So each kit has 2 fabrics, one for the exterior, one for the lining. So with 2 kits, you can really make 4 different phone cases, and then you have all those strap options too. So lots of versatility with the kit, lots of versatility with the pattern or with the project rather. So yes, this is made entirely in the hoop of your embroidery machine, and you do need a 6x10 hoop or larger to stitch this out, especially if you're making the largest bonus size that is an exclusive to this session. So if you have one of the bigger, newer phones, you're going to need that bonus size. You will use the cutting instructions for the 1H size. The 1H size is the largest size that comes in your original set of files that you get when you register for the course. And then your bonus size, is just a little bit bigger than that largest size. So here's what I did, and I wanted to share with you because you know what? We can all learn from my mistakes. That's part of the reason why I do this show here is I try to make all the mistakes so that you don't have to, so that you have great success at the sewing machine. I just realized you can see my computer right here, and that might be flickering for you. So let's just switch up that view a little bit. Okay, so what I did was, while you're making this, it's done in 3 hoopings. Okay, so you make the front of the case in one hooping, the back of the case in another hooping, and the flap in a third hooping. All right, so you're constantly either taking the hoop off of the machine to add fabrics, add your zipper, tape things here and there, and then placing it back on to do the subsequent steps. Then when you get to the final stitch out, you're adding your front, you're adding your flap, and everything comes together in that third hooping, along with your little tabs if you choose to add the crossbody strap, your wristlet strap. You get the idea. So you also might have the option to go to a trim position on your machine, which will bring the hoop closer to you. But I find, especially when we're doing that last step where everything needs to be combined in one hooping, and we want to make sure everything's accurate and we've taped things down properly, it's really best to remove the hoop without disturbing your stabilizer, of course. You don't want anything to shift while you're doing all this movement. So I take mine, over to my cutting table. I'm taping everything, making sure it's fine. And I go to put it back on the hoop, and I didn't snap it in all the way. And I was using a magnetic hoop instead of my standard hoop. Now, if I'm using my standard hoop and it doesn't click all the way into place, my machine will not run. It's going to tell me my hoop isn't attached. Well, for some reason, I had my magnetic hoop almost all the way, but not, clicking properly. So what happened was when I did my last stitch, it actually sewed it. It sewed it about a 1/2 inch above where it was supposed to sew it along the lower edge of my pouch. So when I turned it right side out, I was like, why isn't this the same as the other ones that I made? Because I had no idea that it wasn't clicked in place. You can really only see it if it's turned wrong side out. I'll be able to show you my mistake here. Now, the good thing is it still totally fits my phone, but I did have to adjust my flap so that my flap kind of goes over a little bit more to cover up my phone. Oh, actually, it's completely inside because this thing is totally lined 100%. So my extra 1/2 inch of material is in between these layers. You can't even see it when you turn it inside out. So, that's the happy part of this, is that if I weren't telling you all about this mistake, no one would ever know except me. And I'm very happy it was only a 1/2 inch off, and that my machine wasn't harmed by my hoop not being completely secure. So just, I guess, let that be a lesson to you. Make sure when you're doing all these movements, pulling your hoop on, off, doing these in the hoop projects, make sure you hear that clicking sound when you put your hoop back onto the machine. I'm so glad that it was the very last step and that it did not affect the look of my project because, still looks great. It's just not as tall as intended. So you can see here how I folded the flap. I have a lot of air, right? And I had to adjust my snap placement when I finished it. So normally your case would come down like this, right? And then you have your little tabs at the top. But I had to adjust mine just a little bit so that my phone would still fit in there because of that mistake. So super glad I was able to recover from that mistake, but I wanted to pass that info along to you. It happens, right? I don't know that I've ever done a project start to finish where I didn't have some kind of problem, You just, it happens. We're not perfect, right? We would love to be. It would save so much time, right? But with every mistake, we get better and better, and it gets easier. So I just wanted to pass that on to you. Let me know if you are doing the Ultimate Phone Case session. And again, these kits are only going to be on sale until Thursday for that great price of $39.99. And then for $19.99, You get access to the session, all the videos taking you through all of the steps, including all the different strap options, bonus tutorials and information on working with cork fabric, creating a cork key fob, the one that you see here, personalizing it with or without software. This is just chock full of great information that you'll want to refer to again and again. You get all the files for all the sizes for these phone cases. And again, you can use them as pouches for lots of different things. You might want to make the small ones, give them away as gifts for the holidays for your friends. You can add a little D-ring or key ring of some kind and put a little small one on a backpack or something like that. Put a little hand sanitizer in it, makes a great Christmas or holiday gift. So you can get a lot of use out of those files. You also get that cork key fob design file as well. And you can choose the monogram of your choice to go on there or a little small motif, maybe your favorite sports team, something like that. All of that is included with your session price. And then you can go on over to sulky.com and grab up one of these kits in your chosen colorway and have lots of different options for the case that you want to create. All right. Also, is everyone ready for New Year's Eve? I mean, we're not even at Halloween yet, and we're already talking about New Year's Eve. But if you've joined us for this New Year's Eve sew-along in the past, because this will be year 5, so if you've joined us, you have 4 great bags, and they're all totally different. They all showcase different types of embroideries or embellishments, and this one is near and dear to my heart. It's vibing with Yellowstone. It's actually called the Dutton bag. So for those of you Yellowstone fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. It has a little bit of a Western chic vibe to it with the faux leather and the freestanding lace overlay. And it's just a really beautiful bag. You can dress it up or dress it down. And we're going to work our way through this entire bag on New Year's Eve, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can spend your New Year's Eve afternoon with us and then take out your brand new bag that night, have a night out on the town or whatever you choose to do on New Year's Eve. And I think everyone is going to be just so happy with this event. You could choose from this brown and sort of tannish colorway. There's also a black and deep red, like almost like burgundy colorway as well. So the kits are fulfilled by Sally Tomato, and you can find this live streaming event to register for it at sewingonline.sulky.com. So be sure to register for this one early. The reason we're talking about it so early is because of that freestanding lace piece that you see on the front of the bag. This is how big that piece is. It's bigger than my head, okay? So you either want to create one piece or 2 pieces, depending on your desired finished look. So you can create one piece and just have that on the front exterior, or you can create 2 pieces and have your front and back of the bag look the same. So that's totally up to you. Also, if you don't have embroidery capabilities, you can still create this bag just without the lace overlay. You can create this bag with a plain exterior front, and you'll still have a really great versatile go-to bag for the start of 2025. So this piece, as you can imagine, takes a while to stitch out. So we're not going to have time on New Year's Eve to get through this entire stitch out. That's why we want everybody to register early, because as soon as you register, you're going to get access to the event page where you will find the video taking you through this piece. We want you to create this piece ahead of time, just as though you were cutting out your pattern pieces ahead of time, so that on New Year's Eve, we can get right to the sewing and you will just have this already done. I'm also going to go through the bonus designs that you get with purchase of this event. You get some really cute little freestanding lace charms. You can add those to the little tassels that go on your bag, or create some earrings out of them. There's a little leaf and a little flower. And then there's also what we call a flat design. So if you don't want to create the lace, or if you want to create a bag that's similar to this on a different fabric, maybe you want to create a second bag for someone else, it would be really pretty stitching the flat design directly onto like denim would be really cool for this bag. So you don't have to do freestanding lace, but either way, you will need to do this large scale embroidery ahead of time. So make sure and register. Grab up your kit at sallytomato.com. You'll find all the information for how to join us for this event and everything you need to know in the link that I put in the description of today's post. So if you're not seeing all those links that I posted today, click on that More button and the whole description will pop out with all the live links that you need. All right. Also coming up is our gingerbread puff ornaments in the hoop live webcast. This is happening November 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time over there at sewingonline.sulky.com. We have so many events. I don't even know what to do. We're just keeping you guys busy, right? Plus, with the holidays coming up, you're going to want to create a lot of projects to give as gifts, to decorate your homes with, all those good things. So be sure to join us for this free webcast. These designs are created by Parker on the Porch. Love them. They are made out of felty and puffy foam from Sulky, and they feature beautiful Sulky poly deco threads. We also, of course, have a kit that goes along with this webcast too. So be sure to add that to your cart when you're browsing everything else I'm talking about today. These are little ornaments. They have a little hole at the top. You can choose to add a grommet or just punch a hole in the top of the felty. Since the felty doesn't fray, you can leave those edges raw if you want. You can cut out your ornament using pinking shears or a wavy rotary blade, or just cut it out nicely along the edges. I'm also going to give you some tips for using these in different ways. So we can completely skip the last stitching if we want and create these as puffy appliques. So that's a little sneak peek on what you will learn on November 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Also, sorry, a little bit more business before we get to the sweatshirts today, because our India tour is closing soon for registrations. So if you joined me last week on So What, I have to apologize. I did show off quite a few pictures from our Bali tour, but I just couldn't help myself. It was so incredibly amazing. It was truly a life-changing trip for me. It was absolutely incredible. And actually, one of the ladies that was on our tour had gone to India in the past. And so I was just picking her brain about what to do, what to see, what to expect. So that was really, really great. So fortunate to have had, gotten, that information from her. But this is happening in March because it's also the festival of Holi in India. And so we can experience that. And I think it's just going to be so wonderful. So check this tour out. I linked directly to the page to view the entire itinerary for India with pricing information and everything. And then you can click right off that page if you're interested in registering or getting more information on that one. Also up on the Craft Tours site is the Sulky Greece tour. I could not be more excited about this trip. It's going to be phenomenal. You really need to head on over and check out the full itinerary. It is chock full of all the quintessential things you think of when you think of visiting Greece. Mykonos, Santorini, Athens. It's going to be amazing. And this one's happening May 24th to June 1st, right at, the end of springtime before all the crowds come in for the summer. So it's going to be really, really great timing to go to Greece with like-minded people who love to sew and quilt and craft and create. So go check that one out too. That one's going to close probably in February, so you have a little bit of time to think about it, but the sooner you can get on a payment plan or the sooner you can claim a spot for this one, the better, because we will be capped at a certain number of registrants, and I want to make sure everybody can go that wants to go. Okay, so I think that's all my business I had to share with all of you today. What I wanted to talk about today, since we are in the throes of all of these, sports events and, high school football, college football, NFL, baseball, everything's kind of happening at once right now. And it's really exciting and fun. And, whether you have a kid who is, in middle school, high school, in sports or not, maybe they're in band, or they have some kind of a team or a club that they're part of. It's really great to wear something that, shows off your pride for what you're doing in school or even extracurricular activities. And you know what? I find that when you're buying this school spirit wear or even, licensed sports apparel, it is insanely expensive. I mean, if you're a family of 5, even if you just have one kid, sometimes these sweatshirts can be like $70. And it's because, you're wearing a licensed, piece of clothing, a licensed garment. And so all of that money needs to be dolled out to the different teams and everybody that owns, these mascot names or what have you. I totally get it. I respect that, credit where credit is due. But if we can use our sewing talents to make something similar, not totally ripping off the licensed appliques or what have you, but make something similar, make something that has the vibe of your school or your, school's phrase or mascot or what have you. Then you can still be donning the apparel and be participating in those spirit days and, going to the Friday night lights or going to, the big game party or something like that. And you still fit in, you're still expressing your, pride and spirit for that team. You just didn't have to pay $70 for it. So we're going to do a little compare and contrast of like what this would cost if we were to purchase it versus what it would cost if we were making it and how easy and fun it is. And then it also keeps our hands busy, lets us, express our love of sewing, and kind of gives us an excuse to sew, right? I mean, sometimes we need an excuse to get ourselves at the sewing machine, get motivated, and then we get that, endorphin rush when we're all finished and we have something to show that we've made with our hands. All right, so first off, this whole thing started for me because I was seeing these cute little sweatshirts. And by the way, apparently the oversized sweatshirt is like the thing right now. When I drop off my kids or if I'm on social media, everyone's wearing these oversized sweatshirts. They might say something, they might be plain, but it is like super trending right now. So yay for oversized sweatshirts, especially with Thanksgiving coming up and, needing to bundle up for winter. I love me an oversized sweatshirt. So I have been seeing these sweatshirts similar to this. I completely ripped off this photo from a designer on Etsy. And oh my gosh, I had it saved here and now it's gone. I want to find it because again, super into credit where credit is due. Okay, this is from Pup Essentials, okay? Like puppy essentials. You get the idea? Pup Essentials. Very cute. This sweatshirt, one sweatshirt, okay, is $99. And it's, let's see, around $22 to ship it to you. Okay. I completely understand why. This is totally customized to your pet. So you send in a photo, your pet's picture is digitized, you get a fabulous sweatshirt with your pet on it. Okay, so I can understand why that's $99. It's totally personalized to your pet's photo. This is a great service, okay? But of course, in my brain, I'm like, how can we make this for a fraction of that cost? Because it's so adorable. So this was kind of how this whole school spirit sweatshirt thing started for me. And I've been seeing more and more of these pop up on my social media feed. It's machine embroidery, and it's your pet's face or a sort of stock image dog that is close to your pet, right? So this immediately got me thinking of our Peekaboo Pets design collection that we have at sulky.com. These are sewn out in the Sulky Filane thread. Filane is our 12-weight acrylic thread that brushes or that fluffs when you brush it with a wire brush. So you get this faux fur effect on your little fur babies that you wouldn't get in a flat design like the one I was just showing you there from Pup Essentials. So this is a twist on that. And what I think is really great, first off, you can choose one of the cat designs or one of the dog designs, and you can switch up those thread colors so that they match the pet that you have a little bit better. Like, for example, there's a golden retriever on here with a cute little bow tie. I have a black lab retriever, so I would switch up those colors to blacks, grays, maybe even throw in a little white in there for the little white patch that's on her chin. And then that's going to be closer to my dog. Even though not exactly the same, it's going to give vibes for my dog. So that's good enough for me, honestly. So you can grab up the Peekaboo Pets machine embroidery collection, grab up the Filane colors that best represent your dog. Make sure to grab up the embroidery collection first, look at the color chart, see all the thread colors that are needed, because some of these only use maybe 2 or 3. Some of them use 6 or 7. So it all depends on, the shading and that type of thing for your particular dog. Okay. So there's also some rayon thread for the detailing of the dog's face. So you can find those at sulky.com. And if you have your color chart ahead of time, you can see what colors maybe you have on hand and what colors you need to supplement. Because we don't want to stitch out things like eyes and the nose and the little whiskers and things like that using the Filane thread. We want to use rayon for that so that it is more, flat of the design. So first off, we sew out all the Filane colors, then we brush them out. Then we can sew the rayon colors and it'll kind of matte down any sort of Filane that it overlaps. Okay, it's only going to overlap by a little bit. There are spaces left in the design for the rayon colors as well. So this is a great alternative for one of these really expensive $99 plus 20-something dollars for shipping, depending on where you live, for this sweatshirt. Now, granted, again, this is totally personalized for a photo of your pet. This is a little bit more obscure of your pet. So you get the idea. I just thought this was a great alternative. Also, if you have a sweatshirt that maybe has a logo on it, let's say it's like a promotional sweatshirt, and you're really not interested in promoting whatever this sweatshirt is promoting, slap on one of these Peekaboo Pet designs right over the top of that logo, and you have yourself a designer sweatshirt that's personalized for your pet. So lots of different ways you can kind of look at that project. But the other thing I've been seeing, and I've been seeing this everywhere, not just from one designer, but from many, many, many designers. All right. So this one is Bear Prints. Okay. But again, I have been seeing so many people doing this treatment on sweatshirts. So here we have our school spirit wear inspiration for the day. I kind of took this idea and ran with it because first off, you could do this machine embroidery style if you happen to have software and you can create a font that is the size that you want to follow your neckline on your sweatshirt. So if you're a little bit more advanced in machine embroidery, you can for sure do this by machine. You can also do this free motion style if you want to drop your feed dogs and kind of follow your design with your sewing machine. You can even use heavier weight thread in your sewing machine to mimic a handwork look, which is what I think this person did, because that looks way too perfect to be hand sewing. I know there are people out there that do absolutely perfect hand sewing, but if you look at this real close up, it really looks like machine work to me, which is great. Love it. So I took this idea and, again, been seeing a lot of people doing this, but I put a sulky spin on it. So I created some school spirit sweatshirts using this idea, but hand sewing and using Sulky Stick and Stitch Stabilizer as our embroidery transfer. The stabilizer makes it so that you don't have to hoop this. You can stitch it in hand. You can manipulate your template so that it follows that curve just by cutting into our sticky stabilizer sheet and following along that neckline curve, right? So I created a design to follow the neckline. I also put the mascot on the elbow. So in this case, we are creating a sweatshirt for the Summit Ridge Hawks. So we've got Summit Ridge on the neckline. We've got Hawks spelled out on the elbow. And then I added a little bit more embellishment to the collar just to kind of balance out the colors on the sweatshirt. So the colors for Summit Ridge are green and white. So I found this great green sweatshirt on the clearance rack at my favorite Target. And I added white 12 weight petites, 12 weight cotton thread from Sulky for my stitching. So I'm in it for $6.99 for my sweatshirt, plus tax, all those good things, plus my, what is a Sulky petite going for these days? Just want to make sure I don't get it wrong, because if I do, that's bad news. And I should know this by heart, but I'm just checking. Just checking, everybody. You probably know off the top of your head as well. All right. $1.99, everyone. All right. $1.99 for my thread spool. And then I had a hand sewing needle, on hand. But if you don't have one of those, you also need a needle with a large enough eye to accommodate the thread thickness. So a chenille needle or a large eye hand embroidery needle. That'll do the trick. And then you need your stick and stitch stabilizer. All right. So stick and stitch comes in a pack of, is it 12 or 10? I don't know why I can't remember anything right now, you guys. I think maybe I still have some jet lag from Bali left over. It is 12 printable sheets for $15.99. So even if you count your $15.99 investment in your stick and stitch, you only need one sheet. So if you want to divide that by one sheet to see what one sweatshirt will cost you, it is far, far less than what you're going to need or what you're going to use to purchase one of these customizable sweatshirts, right? And if we're talking a licensed sweatshirt from a sports team, I mean, those can be $75 to $100, even more sometimes. So if you can grab your sweatshirt off of a clearance rack, that's great. If you already have one in your closet that you're going to repurpose for that, even better. No investment on the sweatshirt at all. We're just jazzing it up, right? Even if you spend $10, $15, $20 on the sweatshirt, you're still spending a lot less than what you would on one of those licensed sweatshirt deals. All right, so we need our stick and stitch. We need our $1.99 spool of 12 weight cotton petites, or you can also grab up a 6-pack. Maybe you want to create one of these for lots of different sports teams, or maybe your kids are, they're in different schools, so they have different school colors. We have lots of 6-packs available of the petites They're around 10, 12 bucks for 6 spools. So you might be able to find one that has the colors that you need for all the different sports teams or colors or clubs that you want to do this for. So keep that in mind too. Buying up a 6-pack is a little bit cheaper than buying up 6 individual spools. So keep that in mind as well. All right, and here is a picture of hawks that I put on the little elbow of this sweatshirt as well. So you can choose the phrase that you love for your school. Maybe your school has, you know, kind of a saying or a motto, right? So I'm a USC Trojan alumni, so we always say fight on, right? So I've got a sweatshirt here that I have in the works. So I can either put, you know, Trojans up here on my neckline, or I can put fight on. You know, I don't have to even put USC on my sweatshirt and people get it, right? Because we're using that motto without kind of infringing on the licensed products, okay? So think about the phrase that you want to use and open up a page in your word processing program. You know, I use Microsoft Word. Open up a page and write your phrase, write your school, write your mascot, whatever you want to use, and try out some different fonts. Try out some different sizes of fonts. Audition it on that page. I oriented my page in the horizontal orientation because I could write a little bit longer phrases or words on the page. So keep that in mind too. You can always rotate your page or resize it based on, you know, the words or what have you that you're going to print. You can also split up your words or letters if they're not fitting all in one line. Put one on the next line, and then when you go to cut out your stickers, you can just put them back together when you put them on your sweatshirt and kind of put them back together like a puzzle piece so that they all fit, right? Everybody with me? All right, so I decided to maximize my one sheet of stabilizer by putting some different phrases for 2 different sweatshirts on here. So I have my Summit Ridge Hawks, and then I also have my Fight On Trojans. So I can make 2 sweatshirts out of one sheet. So again, you can do the math on what you're saving or what you're spending by getting 2 t-shirts out of one stabilizer sheet. So once you have that, you're going to cut this out and place it on your sweatshirt. And I do have a little bit of a video. It's in a vertical orientation, but I'm going to show you a little bit of a video of me cutting this out, placing it on the sweatshirt, just so you can kind of get a better idea of how these stickers work once you print out your design onto the stick and stitch. You do want to set your printer for the lowest ink setting if you have that capability. Sometimes it's called the draft setting. The reason for that is we don't need to oversaturate the stabilizer with ink. If you don't have that capability, it's fine. Print it out as normal. Just let it kind of sit for a while before you cut it out and start using it. That way the ink will saturate or will dry rather, and it won't come off on your hands when you're working with it. We don't want to transfer any ink to our sweatshirt either, or our fabric or whatever it is that we're using. And yes, you can do the same technique on a tote bag, a backpack, even just a regular t-shirt. You don't have to use a sweatshirt. All the same rules or technique apply with whatever you're going to embroider in this way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start this video. It's going to look really small on your screen because it is vertical orientation, but hopefully it gives you a little bit better idea of cutting out your pieces. So here I have the hawks, and I'm just going to cut it out so that I'm leaving a bit of a border. And the more border you can leave, really, the better. But I was maximizing, the space on my sheet here. So I would have liked a little bit more of a border just because when you start working with it, sometimes the edges will want to kind of peel away if you don't have enough of a border securing the edges. But it's so great to work with. You can just pat it down and make sure that your sticker is sticking. So in order to fit this around the curve of my sweatshirt, I had to cut my letters apart a little bit. So now I've got my 2 transfer stickers. I'm going to place this one right under where my collar attaches to the sweatshirt. And then I can fold this out to access the back so that my summit ridge words can kind of curve around the shoulder, or follow the curve of that neckline rather. And I see someone is asking me about the font that I used. I wish I had written it down. I just played around with a bunch of different script fonts. And if I can figure it out, I will add it to this chat. I apologize for not having written it down. Also, if you have, if you've ever used Canva to make anything, I know it's really, really popular. People use it in schools all the time. And Canva has some really great free fonts in their program that you can use too and play around with. You do want to make sure it's sized about at 3 inches or so, I want to say. Or if you want yours to be even taller, you can play around with that as well. So now I have my summit ridge kind of following along the curve of my neckline, but I actually wanted it to follow that curve a little bit better. So I'm going to show you another video in just a moment, but you can see how you can overlap your stick and stitch. It's totally fine. It's going to be removed in the same way, whether it's overlapping or not. So I'm going to play this other video for you because once I had that on, I tried on the sweatshirt and the words were really not following the curve enough to look good on the collar, in my opinion. So I'm going to show you what I ended up doing here in this next. Oh, thanks for letting me know, Kathy, that I forgot to unmute myself. Whenever I start a video, it automatically mutes. So I apologize. And here I've been talking the whole time, not realizing you couldn't hear me. So thanks for letting me know, Kathy. Yes, Susie Q says, my machine can curve the type. So, you know, she maybe wouldn't need to cut apart all of her letters like this. You could just follow the exact curvature degree of your sweatshirt. Might require a little bit of finagling on your word processing program. But this is what I did. I cut them all apart so that they would better follow that curve. You could also try hinging them. if you haven't removed the paper backing yet. All right, so now we're going to start the stitching here. And I use 2 strands of the thread, which equals 4 strands of your traditional embroidery floss. So you're going to get great coverage here. So I started out by stitching a chain stitch. This is super trendy. I'm seeing these chain stitches everywhere, especially on children's garments. Very, very cute. So I started out doing that. So you're going to bring your needle up through the back of the fabric, create a loop, put your needle back in to where you came out, and then go a stitch length away through the loop that you created. So now we have our first chain. See how that's done? So again, we're going to put our needle back through where we just came out, creating a loop, go a stitch length away through the loop, and we have this chain stitch going along the font. Now you can see there's part of my font that's thicker, part of my font that's thinner. So I just kind of went in the middle to avoid having to do, satin stitches or things like that, because I wanted to keep this simple. Especially when you're doing a chain stitch, you can kind of make it as thin or as fat as you want, depending on how tight you pull the thread within your chain or within your loop. So that's what the chain stitch was looking like. And quite honestly, I didn't love how it was sewing out. I didn't think I was going to like the finished result of that. So I actually took all of that stitching out and decided to try a simple back stitch. And again, I went in the center of my font. So whether or not it was a thinner part of the letter or a thicker, I just followed the center of the letter. So here I have, again, my two threads. I just knotted the end because I'm working on a sweatshirt. It's bulky. I'm not going to feel that knot on the right side of my project. If I was working on a thinner tote bag or t-shirt, I would leave long thread tails and I would weave them in through the stitching on the wrong side to avoid having knots that might be annoying to wear, or they might even show through a little bit on the right side of the project. So here I decided to just do a back stitch. And there are lots and lots of tutorials for hand embroidery stitches out there in the universe. We actually have a hand embroidery stitch guide at sulky.com. So if you need a refresher course on hand stitching, you can check that out. We also have a hand embroidery YouTube series that you can watch that has 3 basic stitches to learn. And so I really preferred the look of this back stitch to the chain stitch, but it's entirely up to you the type of stitch that you want to showcase on your sweatshirt. I just like the simplicity of this. I felt like the chain stitch was looking a little bit too busy for my little letters. So that's what I ended up going with. So again, after we have this printed out, you're going to cut out your letters and then place them on your sweatshirt and then stitch through all layers. You just follow along your printed font, whichever one you chose. And you can see I place my letters just under that neckline seam, but you can maybe put yours all the way down one sleeve if you have a really long school or long, NFL team or whatever team that you're trying to depict on your sweatshirt. Maybe it's a club name, something like that would look really cool down the sleeve or even along the hemline of your sweatshirt. That's another great idea. So here is where I cut the letters apart when I lost sound. Sorry about that, everybody. and then made sure that they followed along that neckline curve a little bit better. And then as far as putting an embroidery on the elbow, I chose the elbow that's opposite the side that I did the collar stitching on. What I did was I put the sweatshirt on and then I put the sticker on. Then I took the sweatshirt off and just made sure that it was nice and straight going across. And that's where I sewed it. So this is a great idea to audition this on the sweatshirt so that when you go to put it on, it's not, way up here or way down where you don't want it to be. So instead of just placing a pin or something to mark it, since you have this sticker, go ahead and just stick it on there. Because once you take your sweatshirt off, you can kind of adjust it a little bit if needed. Make sure it's straight and all those good things. All right, then we have our embroidery on our elbow as well, which, by the way, if you were doing this on the machine, it'd be really difficult to access that elbow area without taking apart your sweatshirt. So another reason to just do some quick hand sewing. I know there's a lot of people out there that just cringe at the mere suggestion of hand sewing anything, even if you're just hand sewing an opening closed of a bag or something like this. We will do anything in our power to use our sewing machines, which I can relate. I love that. But hand sewing is also very therapeutic, and this comes together really, really quickly. I guess unless you're writing like the University of Tennessee or something that long, it really does come together rather quickly. All right, so then I decided to add just a couple more little hand sewn elements. I just did some quick stitches along the neckline, and then you could also use that same detail and put it on the cuff. Just some little accents to kind of tie the whole look together, add a little bit more of that secondary school color, and it makes it really cute, gives it another little handmade touch. And this is kind of mimicking, the laces on a football. So you can kind of play off that a little bit, or maybe, add something like just a little dotted line or something of this nature. So when you're all done, all of your sewing is, your ends are either woven into the wrong side of your stitching or tied off, depending on what you decided to do to begin and end your stitches. I just throw this in the washing machine on a rinse and spin cycle, and I set my water rather low so that I'm not wasting a whole, tank full or a whole load full of water. And I just find this is the best way, especially on a sweatshirt, to remove that stabilizer completely. But you could also rinse out your stabilizer under warm running water. You want to make sure the water is running and that you're not submerging your sweatshirt into like a sink of water. Because what happens when you submerge it like that, without any movement or agitation, is what can happen is the stabilizer will lift off of the material and start breaking apart, and it can shift and move. It can even flip over and transfer to another part of your sweatshirt. You don't want to transfer that ink that is still in the product to another part of your sweatshirt, because then you're going to have an ink stain that you're going to need to remove after your stabilizer is gone. Does this make sense? So there's a lot of tutorials of people using this stick and stitch out there in the universe, and they are showing you how to do it, and they have beautiful designs. Love them. Love that they're using stick and stitch, because it is literally the easiest transfer method that's out there, in my humble opinion. Love that they're using it, but a lot of the times they will show you that they're removing it in this little bowl of water and letting it sit there. The only reason I would ever do that is if I'm making freestanding lace, or I'm making something where I have not printed that product, because I just don't want to run the risk of that ink transferring to anywhere else on the fabric. So those tutorials can be a little misleading, just like a lot of things on social media, because they want to show you the whole process start to finish. And so it's easier to just bring over a bowl of water and show you how it dissolves rather than taking the camera to the sink and rinsing it out and all of that. It's just harder to film it that way. So I really, really like to stress for people that if you're not doing a rinse and spin cycle, if your garment or fabric is too delicate for that, rinse it under running water, like a kitchen sprayer hose or a bathroom faucet, bath faucet, because you're going to have a better water pressure and you're going to be able to agitate it a little bit so that when the stabilizer starts to dissolve and break apart, it's falling off and into the sink, and then you can rinse it away, rinse, rinse, rinse till it's all dissolved, and then you're good to go. Okay. All right, so then after your rinse and spin cycle, put your sweatshirt just right side up on an absorbent towel, and I like to just roll the towel with my garment inside and just kind of press on it. You don't want to squeeze it or wring it out. Just kind of press the excess moisture out of it and then just let it dry flat on that towel. If your sweatshirt can withstand pressing or ironing, you can give it a little press or a little bit of steam after it's fully dried, and then you're good to wear it. You can wash it like normal, just like a regular garment. If you're concerned about your thread work in the wash, a great idea is to use Sulky Tender Touch Stabilizer when your design is all done and dried. Tender Touch is a fusible, lightweight stabilizer that's really silky smooth against your skin. We use it all the time after embroidery on t-shirts. So what you want to do is cut some rectangles to follow that collar line and place them on the wrong side of your embroidery and lightly fuse them. Now, before you do this, you need to make sure you know what the inside of your sweatshirt is made of and make sure it can withstand the heat of an iron. Because if it cannot, you're going to melt the wrong side of your sweatshirt, and then we really have a mess going on. If it is knitted sort of like a t-shirt and doesn't have sort of a fleecy-like texture to it, you will be good to use the Tender Touch. And what that's going to do is, first off, it's going to make it really nice to wear it. You're not going to have any scratchy stitches next to your skin when you're wearing the sweatshirt, but it's also going to seal up the backside of your embroidery. So over time, when you wash it a bunch, when you wear it a bunch, your stitches are not going to come undone, pop out, get snagged. They are going to be sealed on the wrong side because of that Tender Touch stabilizer. So you can just flip your sweatshirt inside out, fuse some little pieces just to the wrong side of your embroideries there, wrong side of your embroideries on your elbow, and then you're good to go. Lee is saying these would be adorable on pajamas also. That is a great idea. Love it. All right. Here is another picture of the back of that sweatshirt. Somebody says, your hair is going to cover that up. I know. If you know me, you know I like to wear braids sometimes or wear my hair up in a ponytail, so you can always do that as well if your hair is going to cover up the design. Good point. Maybe if you have long hair, put your design down your arm or at that hem edge, like I was saying before. So definitely keep those things in mind. We don't want to cover up our beautiful handiwork. Very good point. And there's just another picture of the hawks on the elbow. So I think this turned out really, really cute. And you know what? This 13-year-old model here, I got her seal of approval. Do you know how hard it is to get a seal of approval from a 13-year-old? So I'm going to call that a win and give myself a round of applause because you just never know, you know? It's really deflating when you really think somebody's going to enjoy something and then they're like, thanks. So make it for yourself, get the seal of approval, and I hope you find success with this project. Again, pajamas, regular t-shirt, do this on a tote bag. I am actually kind of falling in love with the idea of doing this down the sleeve. So maybe that's what I'll do with my next sweatshirt. I can do my fight on Trojans all the way down one sleeve, and then my hair won't cover it up. So I think I will try that, and I will report back to everyone how that looks. Also, think about using Sulky Blendables thread when you are looking for your school spirit colors. Because if, I could not find the colors for USC are cardinal and gold. I, first off, did not want to wear a gold sweatshirt. It's just a little bit much for me. Love the color yellow, but it's a little much for me. And I couldn't find a red one yet. I'm sure as the holidays draw nearer, they'll be out there on the stores. But again, I was looking on that clearance rack and I found this gray one. So I can either do cardinal and gold for every other letter, or I can look for a Sulky Blendables 12 weight petites thread and see if I can find one that has red and gold in it. I know we have ones with like blue and silver and green and blue and all kinds of things you can use for school colors or NFL colors as well. Or I can do fight on in cardinal, Trojans in gold. You get the idea. So you might need more than one thread spool depending on the sweatshirt color that you're able to find. But I'm sure you will be able to personalize this for your needs and make some really cool, way affordable sweatshirts that are a fraction of the cost of these designery ones that are popping up all over the place. And you'll be celebrating the trend and using your sewing knowledge and having fun all at the same time. All right. So Kathy says her friends will likely all want one. I know, then we'll be in trouble, right? But no, I would love it if all of her friends were sporting some handmade sweatshirts. That would be really cool. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the tutorial today. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday for another So What. Get those ultimate phone cases in the works and grab up that kit before it goes off sale. This is only on sale until Thursday of this week, which incidentally is Halloween. So I hope you're all ready for Halloween with your great costumes and can't wait to hear about it all on Tuesday. I'll be sharing some pictures of my littles who aren't so little anymore, but thankfully they're still trick-or-treating and still wearing costumes, so that's still fun for me. So we could talk about it all next Tuesday, and have a great rest